Welcome in. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another 2024 election little update where I go through some little X tweets that I bookmarked, and we're just going to react to these. Some polling updates, Virginia stuff, people trying to cope right now. Trump up big, and there are rumors on his VP. What's going on with that? Let's take a look. This first one. This one, dating in America is broken. The top 0.01% of men are banging the top 30% of women. Yeah, so there's like an unbalance right now when it comes to dating in the United States. It's caused by the apps, I think, the disproportionate male to female ratio. It overvalues women, and they all think they can get the top 1% of men, and it's really creating a problem. So I saw that tweet, thought I would react to it. This is why you can't blindly throw polls into the average and expect it all. Oh, this is just more liberal whining, I guess, about this pollster. I'm not familiar with this pollster. Are they more conservative? I'm not sure. But notice the reference to 2022. It's a false equivalency. 2022 was a midterm year. This is a different voter block. This is a general election voters. A lot of Trump people coming out in 2024 when he wasn't on the ticket in 2022. They're going to be a lot more motivated now. A lot of the Trump voters don't even vote in the midterms. So you can't really compare a midterm year to an election year. And we remember back in 2020, Trump significantly underestimated. Same thing in 2016. Even though he lost in 2020, the polls were way off. They underrated him. You could say it's an overcorrection, but this cope where they go back to 2022 and say, it wasn't even that horrible in terms of the error. Like the error for pro-Democrats in 2020 was way bigger than the midterm error for Republicans, so that doesn't even make sense. We've got NATO coming out and rejecting Vladimir Putin's peace deal. So I guess NATO controls Ukraine now, even though Ukraine is not in NATO. Ukraine's trying to join NATO, and a lot of liberals want Ukraine in NATO, which would only heighten the potential for World War III. It's like they want World War III, and this is the rhetoric that we need to avoid. When Trump was in office, we had a good relationship with Russia, so much so they called Trump a Russian agent and tried to drum that up. But no, it's good. We want peace with Russia. We want Trump to negotiate something. And NATO, listen, there's some problems with NATO. I think there's another tweet that I wanted to discuss about NATO. And there were some things like 2016, 2017, Trump came out. He said, maybe we should withdraw and leave NATO. It's understandable why he would say that. It does have a lot of complications considering all of our bases. I think we have 119 military bases in Germany, 44, 45 in Italy. Obviously a lot in the UK as well, so it'd be a big problem in terms of that. But what I propose, I'll just say it right now, when it comes to the United States, we tend to struggle with using our military might, and my suggestion would be a NATO tax. Basically, we saw Trump came out, he wanted to eliminate state income taxes. That's something every citizen should want. It makes no sense. South Dakota, Wyoming, Texas, you move to those states, you get no state income tax. Other states like California, it's crazy, 11, 12%. It should all be eliminated. This is what we do. We use the military force that we have as a bargaining chip, and we introduce a NATO tax, and we tell all the NATO countries, if you want the United States to remain in NATO, there's going to be a tax, and the tax that we put on these countries, we will then use it to pay for, the state income taxes. We'll eliminate those. And I know Trump said he wants to tax tariffs more. Well, that's going to create some other problems. We don't have to do that. We can just deploy a NATO tax and use the fact that, and really, this is a leverage play. We leverage the fact that we have a significantly stronger military than all of the other NATO countries, and we make up like 70% of military spending when it comes to NATO. And this is just another thing I wanted to mention. You hear all of these British people, Germans, it's like they lump the United States in with what's best for Europe. I agree. I want Europe to be good, be together, that's fine. But let's make one thing clear. The United States has a bigger issue than Russia. Obviously, when it comes to Britain, when it comes to Italy, Germany, all those countries that are landlocked with Russia, you see Russia invading Ukraine, they're all very concerned. And they lump the United States in like there's not the Atlantic Ocean separating us between Russia and all those other countries. So the United States, we have bigger issues, especially in the Pacific. And that's why Trump did a good thing when he was in office, really ramping up defense spending, especially in the Pacific. And I know we've got several bases in the Marshall Islands and Guam, as well as a ton of bases in Japan, like 120. So that is good. But this rhetoric is just so disturbing. Where are we going to be in 2 or 3 years? Many liberals have come out and they think Kamala Harris is probably, if Biden wins, she's going to be president within 2 or 3 years. That's the expectation from them. And a lot of liberals don't even like Kamala Harris. And it's just this reckless thing where we're like a 5-year-old with Russia because we don't like them. We can't negotiate anything. What they did was wrong. Invading Ukraine was bad. Vladimir Putin's going to come out and say, well, NATO, they encroached, they came too close to us. You still can't invade another country, especially with the nuclear bombs that we have at our arsenal. That's all the big countries, including Russia, China, and the US mainly. But other countries also have nukes. It's too dangerous to have land war that could escalate into a nuclear problem. So we must get dialogue going on some type of peace. And then they come out and they say, well, you're just emboldening Putin by giving him potentially the 2 eastern districts in Ukraine. Why would we be concerned about Russia taking over Europe? They can't even get to Kiev. So it's all this fear-mongering from Brits, from people in Europe. They want Americans to care so much about this war. Look, we care about it. We've given you a lot of money. There's a massive ocean separating us with you guys and Russia. So you guys should care more about it. You're not going to give us any money when China inevitably enacts their blockade around Taiwan. That's their next move. All of the military is talking about it on the news. They've come out and they've said that China, the strategy will be, it's a soft invasion. They want to blockade Taiwan and squeeze them out and almost suffocate the Taiwanese. And they can dress it up and say, oh, it's not an invasion, but if it doesn't go well, they're going to invade after installing a blockade surrounding the entire country of Taiwan. That's their strategy. It's a soft invasion. We have to worry about that. Yeah, I don't think Germany is going to be sending us too much money to help, fight China when it comes to the battle in the Pacific that we're very likely going to be dealing with. So see the double standard there with this NATO crap, and we have to care so much, and it's terrible what they did for sure, but there's also a problem with China, and we know those European countries, they're not really going to care about it. We're going to be left on our own, basically, to fend that off. You've also got this. So here's a big thing with the VP. Glenn Youngkin, could he possibly be the VP for Trump? It's extremely unlikely, unfortunately. I came out a few months ago, I said Tulsi Gabbard. I really think if Trump actually picked Tulsi Gabbard, he'd pretty much lock up the election. I'm dead serious, because you cover all your bases if you pick her. But Trump, we know he wants a yes man. He doesn't want anyone that's going to overshadow him. That's what he did with Pence. And even Pence, there were some issues towards the end there when it came to the January 6th stuff, Trump not wanting him to certify the vote. So Trump wants a yes man. That's why it looks like the narrative now is it's Doug Burgum. But Glenn Youngkin is loved by everyone. I think Trump would win Virginia if he comes in as VP. There's the idea that maybe Youngkin comes in and then he becomes the Republican nominee in 2028, because we always see the VP end up being the next choice. That's not going to happen with Kamala Harris. I can pretty much guarantee it. It didn't happen with Mike Pence because of the weird thing with Trump losing as an incumbent and then running again. But that's neither here nor there. Glenn Youngkin's a young guy who just won a crazy election in 2021 in a liberal state, and he's got an amazing approval rating. So I don't think Trump's going to pick him. If he does, would that lock up the election for Trump? I mean, that would certainly help. It's not like Virginia has like 50 electoral votes, though, let's be honest. I mean, but still, Virginia was like a safe Democrat state coming into this year, and now seemingly it is a swing state. This is a very good tweet here. Total number of days candidates led the Real Clear Politics polling average. You can see Obama leading for 367, McCain just 20, Obama leading for 325, Romney at 34, Clinton. See, I don't even remember Trump leading for a single day in terms of the just average, like the head-to-head. I'm shocked Trump led at all. 2020, Trump as an incumbent did not lead for a single day. And would you look at the shift, 378 days in 2024. It is close, but this just goes to show you we have not seen this type of positive Republican polling data since really the internet became a thing, since Twitter started. This is like a new thing that we're witnessing when it comes to Republicans and their polling. Let's take a look at this. 31% of judges appointed by Biden are black women, more than any other single demographic, despite the fact that they make up 3%. And yes, so Biden and his administration, they've shown a huge prejudice, it's racism against white people. They're purposefully hiring minority judges. I saw something, I thought it was over 31%. Oh, that's just women. Isn't it like 70 to 80% minority in terms of the judges? And then they say, oh, they're just the best person for the job, when obviously this is virtue signaling. 70, 80% minority when we've got significantly less than that in the country. But they're putting these judges in, and we'll see what happens. It's certainly not good. What have we liberals done to the West Coast? So yeah, you can look at this quote: the West Coast's central problem is not so much that it's unserious as it's infected with an ideological purity that is focused more on intentions than on oversight and outcomes. And see, this is the issue, and it really, a good example of this is the liberal voter, or just the liberal in general, that lives in San Francisco, that is forced to move because of the terrible policies. They're soft on crime. You can't prosecute minorities. That's racist. It's bad. They can steal whatever they want, up to $900. You've got Target moving out of there. And even if Target or the big store stay, it becomes a prison store where you have to raise your hand like a little child and say, I want to get this dish soap. And the employee comes over and unlocks it, and they think that's good. You have to change the policies. They won't do it because they view changing the policies as racist, or, whatever you want to say, putting minorities in jail as racist. So then they move to Austin, Texas, or wherever, and then they vote for the same policy. So they have a problem. They can fix it, but they won't do it. It's just like Chicago. The mayor, Lori Lightfoot, they got her out and everyone celebrated because of how bad she was. The person that they put in was probably even worse when it comes to the crime issue. So it's like, you're not fixing the problem. There is an obvious problem that is not being addressed because of the virtue signaling. And that's exactly what that quote was about. I desperately need to know which 538 simulation produces an outcome where Trump wins California by 10 points. Yeah, look at that. Trump winning California, one single outcome. And then there's two outcomes where he barely wins it. It's just the model. It runs a bunch of simulations. He's obviously not going to win California. This is literally insane. $1.4 billion is a preposterous number, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. So yeah, this is on the Alex Jones stuff. And my goodness, when it comes to, what Alex did, obviously it was bad, but it's like, it's clear that they're taking this situation. Not only have they blown it up, it's almost like a mega atomic bomb to where they're trying to destroy him over this single event. $1.4 billion in defamation. Do you know there's somebody that was convicted of a murder when he was 18 years old? They got upgraded DNA evidence through technology. He gets out at age 56. He never murdered anyone. The DNA proves it. So from 18 to 56, he was in jail. He got $14 million total. What Alex did was bad. $1.5 billion or whatever they want him to pay is absurd. And there's clearly something else going on when it comes to the politics of it all. There's another motivating factor. They want to take away social media. It's just all so ridiculous. You've got this Texas, 94% chance for Trump. I think this is 538. New Jersey, 92% chance for Biden. Kind of funny. I don't think Trump's going to win New Jersey, but there was a pretty close poll where Biden was up by 6 or 7. That came out a while ago, though. I haven't checked the polls recently. Maybe there was another poll. Doug Burgum leading, and you can see the narrative surrounding it. Unlikely that he'd launch a 2028 presidential campaign immediately after taking office. So apparently that's what Trump's worried about. And it's not surprising. Trump doesn't want people to outshine him. So it might be Burgum, who we admit he's kind of a dud, but it really doesn't matter when it comes to VP, although there were a few options. I think Youngkin would really help the ticket. I thought Tulsi Gabbard would really help the ticket. And then this is the final tweet I'm going to go over. I was just trying to find a good one scrolling. Biden administration is developing a large-scale plan to provide legal status to illegal immigrants. And so who knows why this is happening? This is extremely unpopular, not only in the United States, but also in Europe. That's why they've called for emergency elections, because it's just, they want a more conservative voice, a conservative leader. Their countries are being invaded by illegal immigrants. And certainly, you can have the immigrants, but remember what Trump said back in 2015, we need to shut everything down until we figure out what the hell is going on. That's what we need to do, and we can accept people, that's fine, but there's going to be a vetting process. This is the United States. It's a first world country. You cannot just let random people in. I saw there were reports of another illegal immigrant murdering an American woman. Just horrible, horrible stuff. And now Biden comes out and says he wants to provide legal status. This cannot be popular amongst independents. Obviously, Republicans are going to hate it. Liberals are probably going to like it. But in general, this is a sentiment that is not going to win you votes. At least you wouldn't think. Maybe in 2019, 2020, when Biden came out and said Trump was racist, his plan was ridiculous. Trump in 2016, he builds up the wall. It lowers immigration, illegal immigration, by 87%. Very strict policies. They view it as like, oh, Trump's a dictator. He's a fascist. He's disgusting. He's racist. He doesn't want people from other cultures coming into the United States. No, that was always the correct strategy. Biden comes in the first day in office. He repeals most of what Trump did. And then they gaslight now that the numbers have actually come out where people want a strong border. Biden's approval rating among immigration is like -40. And then they say, well, Republicans are the ones blocking immigration. No, you took everything out that Trump had in place. We had a secure border. You called it racist. You removed all of it day one in office. And now you're like, Republicans need to do this. And so they blame Republicans when they throw other things into the immigration package, like aid for Ukraine. So that's what's really going on here. We'll have to see. That's certainly not great, and something that Trump needs to talk about. Biden trying to do a large-scale immigration thing and certainly those illegal immigrants likely will vote for the Democrats, although we have seen when it comes to minorities, Latinos, they are really seemingly shifting to the right. They're not following the liberal script. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.